Hey, folks, welcome to Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. My name's Gary Thurman, founder and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. So glad to be back in the studio with you guys. I've missed the last few weeks, and I am pumped. One, to be in our brand new studio, gentlemen. What about this?
Yeah, it looks awesome, doesn't it?
Yeah, if you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, you can notice that we have made some major changes in our studio. We're so excited about it. Ron and Tristan have been in here working hard. And we got the wrong table by Wayfair. What's up with that, guys? They sent us the wrong table.
In the biggest box I've
ever seen for such a small table. But you know what? Bobby and Tristan worked really hard over the weekend. They built us a brand new table, so we're excited to have that in here with you guys next week. But for now, we got a beautiful tablecloth on our table.
Now I'm on a schedule. It's got to be here next week.
Yeah, that's right. I hope so anyway. Hey, guys, welcome to the show. Again, Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. So glad to be with you guys today. We're going to have a lot of fun on today's show because we're going to talk about things that are impacting every single one of you out there, especially if you're a pre-retiree or a retiree. If you're headed into retirement or you're 5 years out, someone that's already in retirement, I really like for you to pay attention to today's show because we're going to hit a few key things today, gentlemen. The biggest retirement illusion, which we talk about this a lot, why income and not assets mean everything, that tax time bomb, we always talk about taxes, and why healthcare could actually derail your retirement. In here with me today is Tim McDermott, Bobby Futch. What's going on, gentlemen?
Morning.
Having a great day.
Yep, I like the new studio. It looks good.
Feels like having a great day.
I am
Excited to get started.
Hey, guys, I have to first of all say thank you for stepping in. I've been out shooting TV and stuff the last few weeks. You guys have jumped in here. Even had Rhonda in here with you guys on one show.
Had a guest appearance.
We did,
yeah. And that's the cool thing about this studio now. We got a little more space, so that may happen more often.
That's right. That's something we started working on just yesterday. Who did we want to get in here for our radio show? If you're out there listening or watching today on YouTube or Facebook, if you're interested on coming into our show, have something of value to add to our listeners, we would be open to talking to you, having you in on the show, and talking about what you do. I know we've already got a great lineup. We went through yesterday some folks we're going to have in here. So, guys, let's just jump right in here. And I want to talk about this retirement illusion, Tim, because I think most people headed into retirement, let's say they're 63, 64, 65 years old, and they've got this beautiful portfolio, and they've got this nice big number on a piece of paper with their current broker or their 401k or their 457, whatever the case may be. That's not an actual plan. I mean, that's a vehicle. It served them well. But let's talk about this retirement illusion. What am I referring to when I say that?
Yeah, so having a portfolio value, right, doesn't really equal plan or income or, taking care of things in retirement, right? It's a number.
Sure.
And here's the thing. I don't want to discount the number, right? The number
we need
is
the
great.
number.
We need the number. We want to set goals for ourselves, right, throughout our working career to say if I can get to this number, if I can get here. Just to know that number has to have something behind it to mean something, right? Have a goal in place. Go after that goal. But make sure that you have a plan to take that number and turn it into an income plan, to turn it into a plan to take care of taxes, to do it efficiently throughout retirement, right?
It's almost like building a house, right, Bobby?
Yeah, I think of it, like building a house, that's the foundation of a house.
The portfolio is your foundation.
Yeah, or I also like to think of it as like a tool, right? You have to use the appropriate tool with whatever you're trying to do. This television on the wall behind us in our new studio, we didn't use a saw to hang that, right?
I hope not.
Tristan didn't hang it, so I'm sure
it wasn't. That would not have been the right tool.
It would have been the right tool, right? And so when you're accumulating value for retirement, a 401k, an IRA is the right tool.
Sure.
But as you move into retirement, that's not the tool to provide income.
Sure.
You need to switch the tool, pull another tool out of your toolbox.
So, Bobby, is it true that the stat I read this morning, 50% or more of pre-retirees fear of running out of money more than death?
Yeah, isn't that crazy? The number one fear in America used to be dying.
Yeah,
It's
that was
not
years ago.
It's not anymore. People are more afraid of running out of money than they are dying. And I guess it makes sense, right? You run out of money in your 80s and 90s, that's a bad spot to be in, but pass away, you don't really need money anymore.
So that's a fear, Tim. Why does that fear exist?
I think it's a fair fear.
Fair fear.
Say
that 5 times.
Yeah. No, but I think it's fair because we're seeing more and more and more volatility. In fact, I just read a study not too long ago that said we're on track in the 2020s, so 2020 till right now, to see more 1% moves in a day than we've seen at 8 decades.
Wow.
So
That's a lot.
we're seeing more volatility in our market. We're seeing more ups and downs. We're having, especially right now, we're sitting on a lot of international tension, a lot
Yeah.
of things that are going on overseas. People don't want to ride this roller coaster when they get into retirement. And if you look at it mathematically, that makes sense as well.
Sure.
While you're working, while you're contributing to your plan, it actually is a favor to you to go through some of these dips, believe it or not, right? Because you're adding to it the entire time. You're buying it at discounted rates at points, and
Right.
it works out in your favor. But the opposite is true when you get into retirement and you start pulling money out of those plans. Now it works against you.
People are living longer too, right?
That's
So-
the biggest.
So the roller
actually, the number
coaster is
2 fear
longer.
now is what?
Yeah, getting
Getting sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that roller coaster is a lot longer now, and so you've got more of a chance to really hit some of those
That's
big
right.
dips.
So, Bobby, people have been in this phase of accumulating money, right? Accumulate. That's a great thing. Let's grow your account as large as we can before you actually retire. But give our audience a little bit of a definition or a difference between accumulation and distribution, because that's a big difference.
Yeah, and that's an important distinction if you're an investor. The accumulation is just what it sounds, right? You're adding money to it on a regular basis. So your contributions and market lift is really doing the heavy work there in your accumulation phase.
Right.
And then as you go into retirement, the paychecks stop. You're not working anymore. So now you need to move into the distribution phase. And there are things that go into that the accumulation phase has that, you don't want the dips when you're distributing. That's what Tim mentioned a little bit earlier.
That's right.
A lot of people, the old 4% rule, was the distribution rule. I don't think it works anymore. So
Right.
you've got to be able to set your assets up to provide a steady, reliable income.
We just had a client come in, and they had an advisor for the last 20, 25 years they had been with.
Wow.
And they've been using this 4% rule, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it working? Sort of. I mean, they're staying afloat. They're not eating away a terrible amount of what their principal is, but they're nervous that they're not going to have enough left over to leave to their kids and grandkids.
Okay.
Which they're in an interesting situation because they need to leave something behind to
Right.
their grandkids. Some special needs cases going on there, some things that they want to try and help take care of. And we're in a good market. We've been in a great, 5,
Sure.
10, 15
Sure.
years, really, and they're just barely staying afloat. Imagine when we see a larger recession like another 2008 come through.
Can I stick with the 4% rule here for a few minutes? How does that keep up with inflation?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, guys, how does that keep up with inflation? You're pulling money out, yet inflation's 3-4% every single year, Bobby. How does the 4% rule actually keep up?
Yeah, you've got to hope that your assets are growing
at the same rate.
at the same rate plus that 4%, right? And in order to get that reliably, you have to get more risky than I would suggest a retiree be over time. And the big thing is, you can keep up with that for a reasonable amount of time until we have a new market correction.
That's right.
And what a lot of people don't realize is that 4% rule is based on the market value as it moves up and down.
Sure.
So if you are looking to have reliable income, there are certain bills that are always going to be there that need to be paid.
That's right.
And if you have a 15-20% correction in your account, your income's going down by that much.
Absolutely.
You just take 4% of a lower number.
That's right.
And now you have less money to spend, and you can end up in a tight spot.
So, Tim, don't you guys see that all the time? We got a few minutes left here on this first segment.
Sure.
People are coming in with a large 401k account. I'm just going to pull money out of this 401k account, and then the market corrects.
Sure.
You have a term for that.
Yeah.
They're pulling money out of a declining asset.
Yeah, if you're referring to the sequence of returns
Sure.
risk, right? We're talking about pulling money out of an account, and really what sequence of returns says is you can take those same returns. So take a 10-year period where a loss happens at the beginning or at the end of that same 10-year
Right.
period. When it happens at the beginning, the end number is tremendously different, and it shows that you can't afford to take those losses right out of the gate in retirement. It has a tremendous effect on the actual portfolio value, and by using the 4% rule, you end up pulling a lesser amount out in retirement because you can't afford to keep up.
So that would shatter the 4% rule.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean-
absolutely. And sequence of return risk has always been a concern,
Sure.
in our careers. I'm more concerned about it now because we've had such a great run in the market.
Agreed.
Sure.
It's coming. Is it tomorrow? Is it next year?
We
Is it
don't know,
5
do
years
we?
From now, we don't know. That's
We
the
don't
issue.
know. I think stepping into retirement, gentlemen, correct me if you think I'm wrong here. I think it's like getting a new job. Like you don't get a new job without knowing what your pay is going to be. You're excited about the new job. You're excited about going to retirement, But you need to know what the paycheck is, because guess what? Your paychecks are stopping, but the bills are not. And we want to have fun in those go-go years, right?
Sure.
So one of the things we like to offer you guys is a copy of my book, Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. A couple of different ways you can get this book. Go to plantodayoffer.com, plantodayoffer.com. Fill out your information. We'll get the book right out to you. If you're in Chattanooga, text the word book to 423-710-9199. If you're up in the Knoxville area, Maryville, up in the Great Smokies, which our radio show plays up there as well, text the word book to 865-951-7526. The book has a great chapter in there about income planning, which we were just talking about, but there's a lot of other great things in this book. Read the book, then come in and see Tim and Bobby and Brogan up in Knoxville. Let's start planning for you now so that you can own your tomorrow in retirement. That's what it's all about. We want you to go into retirement feeling confident and really with a peace of mind when it comes to retiring. Again, plantodayoffer.com, plantodayoffer.com, or text the word book, 423-710-9199, or text the word book to 865-951-7526. When we come back, we're going to talk about something we talk about every single week, and it's one of the biggest mistakes people make in retirement planning, and that is tax planning. We'll be right back.
We know the market is going to get worse from here. This is the biggest monthly decline in 10 years. People's 401ks took a major hit.
Well, my investments are tanking. My retirement isn't going as planned. I can't believe I let my kid talk me into buying crypto. I mean, what is that anyway?
This was the fourth worst contraction in history.
So how are you two doing?
Your financial future doesn't have to be uncertain. I'm Gary Thurman with Guardian Investment Advisors. If you've amassed a nest egg, it's time for a financial advisor to help you reach your retirement goals. This is one of the greatest tax windows in history. Now is the time to take advantage of this tax discount while you can. All of our advisors are fiduciaries that specialize in retirement planning, tax mitigation, estate planning, and more. Plan your retirement right. Call now for your own complimentary portfolio review and tax analysis.
Welcome back to Plan the Day on Tomorrow. My name is Gary Thurman, founder and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. We're located right here in a beautiful Chattanooga, Tennessee, and in Knoxville, Tennessee. We would absolutely love the opportunity to have a conversation with you. Again, we'd love to offer you a copy of my book, Plan the Day on Tomorrow. All you have to do is go to plantodayoffer.com. If you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen. It'll help you out as well. Again, plantodayoffer.com. So we jumped into this talking about these biggest fears. We talked a lot about income planning, gentlemen, which is great. But let's go here for just a few minutes. I had to start my clock there. Sorry, guys. Taxes. Taxes, taxes, taxes. I want to start with this. Wall Street Journal, gentlemen. April 16th, the day after tax day. Americans get bigger refunds this year. The latest tax laws offer 4 new major deductions, but taxpayers may not notice an obvious windfall this following season. What are they talking about, Bobby?
Yeah, I think what you've got to realize is just because you get a refund doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be money in your pocket, right? It's kind of a give and take situation where, we've got these great deductions we get through the One Big Beautiful Bill Act.
Sure.
But if you're having greater income, you're going to end up paying more taxes.
That's right.
Right. So it may not just be money in your pocket, even though you're paying less on paper.
That's crazy, right? We got our little statue here, Uncle Sam. If you guys are watching this on YouTube or Facebook, look at Uncle Sam
Does
there.
that qualify as our first guest?
I was about to make that joke.
Is that our first
Our
guest?
first guest in the new studio is Uncle Sam.
Get him out of here.
Shortly after
Toss
tax
him out.
season.
So, Tim, the thing about taxes, we've paid taxes all of our life, and
Sure.
nobody likes to pay taxes. I remember doing a presentation up in Knoxville, and I started it off with, who in here likes to pay taxes? One lady raised her hand. And I'm like, okay, we got to have a conversation. She goes, look, if I'm paying taxes, I'm making money.
That's right.
I was like, amen to you, but wouldn't you like to pay less in taxes? Yeah. So I think we're at an opportunity right now, and I think, Tim, people need to understand the difference between filing their taxes and actual tax planning. Give us a breakdown on that.
Yeah, so you go out and see your CPA every year, I'm sure, and he's going to ask for all your receipts and all your deductions and all your W-2s and your 1099s, all this information. And he's going to look back over the last year to say, okay, here's what's happened. Here's a couple things we can do to kind of save a little bit here, right? And so he's looking backwards, right? Tax planning, true tax planning would be proactive, and proactive is always looking forwards. What can we do right now to help ourselves over the next several years?
Right.
Right. And I, CPAs are doing their job. Good CPAs
And they do a
are
great
doing their
job.
job.
And
They're-
we're not CPAs.
but they look backwards,
Right.
usually, right? We look forwards. In fact, we have several different programs and tools that we use to project out over the next 10, 15, 20 years to say, this is what our tax picture could be looking like. What can we do right now to kind of prevent that, mixed with some understanding of what we think may happen, down the road with taxes, with our government, with legislation. All these things are going to make a difference. I'm not perfect. I don't have a crystal ball. Gary still doesn't work. And so all we can do is kind of give a educated guess to understand what we think is going to happen down the
Sure,
road and plan
sure.
for it
I always
accordingly.
like to think of it like this, and I've got a lot of accountant friends, so I'm not slinging mud at accountants. But most of them want you to pay as little tax as you can right
now.
And when you go pay them to file your income taxes, that sounds like the right idea.
Right,
You know,
sure.
my good accountant saved me on paying income taxes. Great. When we do our tax planning, this is going to sound really weird, but a lot of the times we're going to try to convince you to pay more in taxes now.
But why?
Because if you pay them now, you're going to have to pay those taxes at some point.
Yep.
If you pay them now when they're cheap, you may not have to pay them later.
That
And
fu-
you're going to have a compounding issue on your retirement account.
But why are they cheap?
Yeah, that 401k that you were talking about earlier, right? All that is usually taxable money. And Uncle Sam, you made a deal with Uncle Sam, right? Pay me
This
now
guy
or
right
pay
here.
me later. And you offered to pay him later. Well, at some point, later comes. And if you don't do it proactively, you're going to be forced to do it at RMDH, required minimum distributions. That's age 73 right now. And if you haven't started pulling money out of there, he's going to force you to do so or penalize you for not doing so.
And that could be a big tax issue.
big tax issue.
But truth or myth, Bobby, my taxes are going to be lower in retirement.
Yeah, a lot of people, and when 401ks were put in place way back when, tax rates were a lot higher.
Sure.
And so it made sense to go ahead and say, I'll pay you later when I get into retirement, my income's less.
So I think that's true right now. Taxes are cheaper when you're in retirement right now,
Sure.
which is why we're being so proactive to say, get Uncle Sam out of your pocket, take that money from your IRA or 401k, the pre-tax account, pay the taxes, get them out of your pocket, and put it into a tax-free growth account.
And we say this a lot, paid taxes on a known number.
Yes.
We know that the tax brackets we're in right now, the tax rates we have right now are locked in through 2028. We know they said they're going to be forever. We know that may not happen with a new administration. But we got 26, 27, 28, correct, Bobby, where we could take advantage.
That's right.
We're not doing anything illegal here. We're basically taking advantage of the system and what the tax planning is offering you right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, I like to think of it. Tim's a blue jeans guy, right? I don't know if you have a brand of blue jean you like, but hang with me.
Comfortable.
Fit.
You're going to buy jeans at some point in the future. So if you go walk into the store and your blue jeans are on sale, go ahead and buy them because you know you're going to need them. It
You
works
know
the
I'll
same
do it.
way. You're going to pay those taxes at some point. And with the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, we know what you're going to pay through 2028. We don't know what we're going to pay 10, 15, 20 years in the future. You don't know what your accounts are going to grow to at that point.
Sure.
And you're going to owe tax on all that growth on a pre-tax account too.
But Tim, am I true in saying that this could affect your Social Security income and it could affect your Medicare premiums as well?
Yeah, one tax always begets another, right?
Okay.
And so as you move up in these tax brackets, there's other things that you have to worry about than just the tax bracket itself. What about IRMA? IRMA's the Medicare penalties
Right.
that you'll pay
Sure.
for making too much money in retirement.
Sure.
To your point on Social Security, if you make over XYZ amount, your Social Security becomes taxable. Then it becomes more taxable. And so there's multiple things that you can do by getting Uncle Sam out of your pocket now that will save you on taxes, penalties, other things down the road. And all of those have to be taken into account.
It's not uncommon for us to do this planning for somebody, Gary. And if we can get started early enough, we can get them to the point where they can have hundreds of thousands of dollars in converted retirement assets that they can pull tax free. And and that income doesn't show up on your tax return. So maybe your Social Security isn't taxable. Maybe you're paying the cheapest rate on Medicare.
That's right.
And so you can still be wealthy or rich and have a very low income tax bracket because you've already paid off Uncle Sam.
And I think about the client you referred to, Tim, in our first segment about needing to leave money behind. How awesome is it to leave tax-free money behind versus taxable? That's a big deal.
Major deal, because not only do your kids inherit tax-free dollars, but they can put them into inherited Roth IRAs for the next 10 years, and it can grow tax-free for them at the same time.
That's right. And then they can just pull it all out before the 10 years is up, right?
That's right.
That's crazy. Bobby, what about national debt? We're going up by $5 million per minute, and we still talk to a lot of people that think our taxes are not going to go up.
Yeah,
$5 million a minute.
it's a crazy amount that we owe in this country. You know, I think we crossed over $39 trillion not too long ago.
Trillion with a T.
With a T. You know, that's an absurd number. You know, that's a lot of zeros, and we're adding to it. And so even if we decided we were going to balance the budget as a country and not add to that debt, we still got to find $39 trillion somewhere to pay off what we've already borrowed.
Right,
And the United States government has one source of income. That's taxes.
right.
It's not all personal income taxes. I get that, but that's most of it, right? And so if we eventually got to pay off this $39 trillion, we can't stay in the third lowest tax bracket
There's no
we've
way.
ever had. It's very unlikely to happen.
Yeah, and Tim, for about 90 seconds here, let's talk about the One Big Beautiful Bill and people 65 and above. They're getting an extra $6,000 deduction right now. They should take advantage of that.
Yeah, it's a temporary deduction, so take advantage of it while you can. That's going to end by 2028, meaning that it will go away unless something's done to extend it. But it's an additional $6,000 per person over the age of 65. So if you're a married couple over the age of 65, you're getting an additional $12,000 deduction for the next 3 years. This is something that you can use, something that you can use to help pay for Roth conversions, something that you can help use to get Uncle Sam out of your pocket and put yourself in a tax-free position.
Yeah, I'm going to suggest people don't just pocket that extra 12 grand.
Right.
Right?
Use it.
Use it.
Take
You
advantage
get
of
a
it.
deduction so you can actually use that to pay, to your point, Uncle Sam Roth conversions in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
You know, the math, depending on your income tax bracket and all, it's tens of thousands of dollars that you can convert and let Uncle Sam pay that bill for you.
And Bobby, how many people have you talked to this year that have no clue that they're getting that?
Quite a bit.
Quite
you
a
know,
bit.
There's a handful of people that know, but what they don't know is how to use it appropriately. They're
Right.
just like, yeah, I get some extra money back.
That's right.
Well, you can, but let's talk about a better way to use it.
I'm going to end this segment with this phrase right here, gentlemen. It's not about what you make. It's actually what you get to keep. And that's really the big phrase when it comes to taxes. And this guy, Uncle Sam, he's going to get his. He's going to get his one way or the other. So why not plan now? So when you're in tomorrow's phase, when you're in that retirement phase, you got a lot of tax-free money you can use if you need it, or you can leave it behind, like we just talked about. I think taxes are one of the biggest pitfalls in retirement. As a matter of fact, in my book here, Plan Today on Tomorrow, I got a whole chapter called Taxes, Taxes, Taxes. If you'd like a copy of this book, we'd love to give it to you absolutely free. Go to plantodayoffer.com or scan the QR code at the bottom of your screen. If you're in the Chattanooga area, you can text the word book to 423-710-9199. If you're up in the Knoxville area, text the word book to 865-951-7526. We're going to reach out, get your information. We're going to send you the book absolutely free. Again, go to plantodayoffer.com, scan the QR code, or if you're in Chattanooga, 423-710-9199, text the word book. If you're in the Knoxville area, text the word book to 865-951-7526. Talking about pitfalls, we're going to jump into our next segment, talking about a pitfall that I think you all should be aware of. That's called healthcare. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Gary Thurman, owner and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. For years, our team has helped thousands of retirees and pre-retirees build a confident, predictable, and stress-free retirement plan. If you've worked hard for 30, 40 years, you deserve a retirement that works for you, not one filled with uncertainty, rising healthcare costs, or market concerns. At Guardian Investment Advisors, we take a comprehensive approach to retirement. That means we help you with building a reliable income plan so you know exactly where your paychecks will come from. Navigate Medicare with clarity, making sure you pick the right coverage to avoid costly mistakes. Preparing for long-term care needs with smart planning and protection strategies. Managing your investments with a personalized portfolio tailored to your goals, risk tolerance, and your retirement timeline. Reduce taxes wherever possible with proactive planning so you keep more of your hard-earned savings. You deserve a retirement plan built specifically for you, not a one-size-fits-all approach. Plan your retirement the right way. Call us today or connect with us using one of the many options below. Let's get started empowering your retirement right now. Thank you.
Welcome back to Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. Gary Thurman, founder and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking time out of your day to either watch us on Facebook or YouTube or listen to us on many of the radio stations all over the Tennessee area. We appreciate you guys tuning in every week. Guys, something I noticed last weekend, we had a lot of people requesting the book. You know, from plantodayoffer.com or texting the numbers that we give out. I think that's so neat. If you're one of those folks, you've reached out, you've got a copy of the book, give us a call. Come in and see Tim Bobby Brogan. Let's have a conversation about your retirement plan. Let's make sure that you plan today while taxes are low, that we just talked about, so you can absolutely own tomorrow. That's what it's all about. Okay, guys, you guys ready for this? Allianz did a study, and they're predicting between 2024 and 2035 that healthcare could increase over 5% per year. 5% per year. And, Bobby, I'm going to jump with you because Fidelity's already did a report. Talk about an individual or a couple. Let's just stick with a couple right now. Headed into retirement, a healthy 65-year-old couple can expect to pay over $300,000 a year for general health care. Is that a pitfall in retirement?
Yeah, it's $300,000 for the length of their life, right? And that's the number that's going to increase by 5% a year. That's a huge, huge number. And that's in addition to paying your premiums for your health care, right? That's out-of-pocket money that you're going to pay to have decent health care in retirement. If you don't plan for that expense over your retirement, it's absolutely going to destroy your plan.
Healthcare is expensive, man.
And God
It's
forbid you get
insane.
sick, right? Then that number's just going up.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. More and more people are getting sick because we're living so much longer.
It's
That's a
been-
great thing, but there comes with it's a
Yeah.
two-edged sword.
Comes with a cost.
That's kind of where all this leads back to, right? Is longevity. Gary talks about this all the time. We're living longer, so we're having more potential issues, more planning opportunities. How about that? That we need to account for. And that $300,000 number, I don't believe that accounts for long-term care either.
Does not.
Right?
Does not.
Long-term care is expensive. I think if you're going into a private full-scale care room right now in the Chattanooga or Tennessee Valley area, you're looking at somewhere between $9,000 and $12,000 a month.
You are.
To go pay for this. That's a huge expense set if
I
you're
mean,
not planning
even
for it.
assisted living is $4,500, $5,000 a month. I mean, that's $60,000 a year that maybe you haven't planned for, Bobby. And that's
in addition
big.
to, and listen, a lot of people think, well, if I go into a home or a facility, you know, my bills are going to go down at home. Well, maybe, but not necessarily, because if you have a spouse that's still living at home, they still got to go get groceries. They still got to keep the light bill on.
That's right.
Now you're running two households, and one is significantly more expensive than you planned for.
You know something else you're doing, though? You're putting so much pressure on your children. You are. You're putting so much pressure on your children because maybe you didn't plan for this. Now they've got to come up with the money because they don't want mom and dad not to be taken care of. So you're putting a lot of pressure on them. And Tim, truth or myth, Medicare is going to cover this.
Yeah, they'll cover the first 100 days if you do it right, and then no mas, right? So, no, Medicare will definitely not cover that. Here's a quick trivia question for you. If you've ever heard us on the radio before, you should know this. What percentage of people are going to need long-term care? Some kind of long-term care help. What percentage of people are going to need that?
It's a big number, gentlemen. Can I go back 30 years ago?
Sure.
When I was selling long-term care insurance, it was
Please.
33%. It's increased
One
to
in-
over 70% now.
So 7 out of 10 people.
Are going to need some type of long-term care.
It's not unreasonable. The four of us in this room, you know, us on radio, and then our producer over there,
Three
three
of
of
us,
us are going to need
give or
some
take.
type of long.
I figure he's going to throw an old joke at me, Tristan, right there, because I'm the oldest one in the room. I
Well,
figured the old joke's coming
Somebody
here.
will just need it
Who
way,
knows who's gonna need it
way before the other ones.
I'm putting all the pressure on Tim and Bobby to take care of me in long-term care, folks. I'm
I
just
got a
telling you right now.
concrete block in a row, buddy.
That's right. Take me fishing, boys. Take me fishing. We talked about it's not just financial, Bobby. I do think people need to realize the emotional part. If you're one of these 70% that get sick, not only for you, but for your spouse, your children, your grandchildren, that's tough.
Yeah, without a doubt. Put the money aside for a second, and to your point, everybody wants to make sure that their spouse or their parents get taken care of in a reasonable way.
Sure.
Right? We have people every once in a while that come in and say, well, Medicaid will take care of it. Yeah, you're right. Medicaid will take care of it, but you're not going to like that. And it's
No.
going to be even harder on your family to see you in that sort of position.
You don't get to really make any decisions on where you end up, how you go. Here's the thing, you might end up in a facility that's close by to your family to start with, but the second you leave that bed and you end up in the hospital overnight, that bed's now available. They're going to go
They're gonna
fill
fill
that
it.
bed, and you may not have a bed back at that facility. You may end up a couple hours away from family. That makes things really hard.
And to qualify for Medicaid, it's it's brutal, right? I mean, the number is like $2,000 worth of assets.
Yep.
So you have to be broke before you even qualify for
Call that
Medicare.
spin down, correct?
Yeah, Medicaid spend down, right? And so you're going to spend all your assets down to that $2,000 number before you can even qualify for Medicaid and get into the system. That is just a long road that I don't think is a viable planning option.
And for those of you who are thinking, I'll just give my assets away really quick before I need to go into it, there's something called a 5-year look
Right.
back.
Good point. Good
And
point.
if you give those away within 5 years of going to Medicaid spin down, they will come back and try to grab those assets.
Tim, again, I've been doing this for a long time, and I remember selling long-term care insurance, and a lot of people are like, Gary, I don't think I'm going to need that. I'm hopeful that I don't need that. You know, what's the difference between planning and hoping? Like, it's smart to at least have something in place.
Yeah. There's so many ways to plan for this now, which is the awesome part. When we're looking at doing long-term care planning, it's very different than when you started 30
Traditional
years
for long-term
ago,
care,
right?
yep.
We're not using those traditional long-term care plans. And the real pitfall there, if you've ever looked into these plans, you know what I'm talking about. They're expensive. I'm
Yeah.
talking $3,000-$4,000 a year, and you pay that for life. Not to mention that almost every one of these policies, we're seeing annual increases of 10, 20, 30% premium
Crazy.
increases. And here's the big kicker. When you go to use it, you're going to pay the bill, submit that bill back to the long-term care insurance company. They're going to go through that checklist and say, we'll pay for this. This was necessary. You didn't really need this or that, and we're not going to reimburse for those things, right? Even worse, if you never use it, we call you lucky, by the way. Nobody wants to use
That's
their
right.
insurance policy. But even worse, you never use it. The insurance company keeps all that money, and you don't even get a plaque on the wall in their hallway.
Yeah, I mean, they should put plaques on the wall. Should have their top 100, right? They funded everybody else's plan for so many years. Bobby, this brings a great point up that Tim just talked about, actually being in a home, because with the long-term care planning we do, it's more ADL driven. Let's explain that.
Yeah, so those traditional policies, most of them you have to be in a facility in order
Correct.
to get reimbursed. Nobody wants to go in a facility. They want to stay at home as long as they can. And there's this period of time where, man, you could sure use some extra help at home, taking care of those activities of daily living.
Right.
There's six of
them.
Being able to bathe yourself, get out of bed, take your medicine, go to the bathroom, control your bladder. And
Feed yourself.
Feed yourself.
Yeah.
And so most of the traditional policies, they don't care about any of that, right? Are you in our home or not? We'll pay or we won't pay. Yeah. The marketplace has gotten so much better now that they've got kind of hybrid solutions. Whether that be a fixed indexed annuity with guaranteed income that also has a long-term care type benefit on it.
Correct.
Or there are contracts that will help pay for those things. They'll grow in value, and then if you don't use it, your beneficiaries get that money.
So you don't lose the money?
So you don't lose the money. Most all of these are ADL driven, so you don't have to be in a home. I keep saying that. The way it works is you can't do 2 of those 6 activities of daily living. You get your doctor to sign off a note that says, yep, Tim can't feed himself and he can't get out of bed anymore.
Right.
Sign the note, and guess what? That benefit gets paid
Yeah,
to
and these
your
aren't-
checking account.
Yep,
right?
these aren't reimbursements. These aren't
No.
submitting
Right.
a bill, right?
You start getting paid regularly into your checking account, and then you can do with it whatever makes sense for you. Right?
I think that's a big point.
You can put a ramp on the house. You can bring somebody in part-time to help cook for you, whatever makes it easier for you to live and stay at home. These new hybrid policies will pay for.
Sure.
And Tim, don't you think it's important for us to strategize with our clients, income planning and healthcare planning together?
Absolutely. They go hand. So here's the thing: tax planning, healthcare planning, income planning. Those are the top 3 things that we talk about for every client, right? And the reason is you need an income plan. But if your income plan is going along, and all of a sudden healthcare and taxes start eating it alive, everything blows up.
Yeah.
Right. And so these are two things that will really come in and just cripple an income plan if it's not accounted for.
Yeah, you can't plan in a silo. It just it doesn't work that
It doesn't work that way. I mean, this is one of the reasons that sparked me to write my new book, Retire Strong, which will be coming out soon, by the way. It's all about your health. You know, if you don't have your health, why are you so worried about your wealth? I mean, you can worry about your wealth because you're not going to live long. You're going to leave the money behind. However, if you can control your health and control your wealth at the same time, I think it's going to make a big difference in retiring strong, which is the title of the book, which I think is really good. I don't think you should ever overlook planning for health care. The general health care, $300,000+ a year for a couple. Then we start talking about long-term care, 70% of us are going to need some type of long-term care. Don't be one of those people that get stuck in that stat and not have a strategy for it, not have a plan for it. I'll talk about this in my book, Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. Love to give you a copy of it, absolutely free. Go to plantodayoffer.com, plantodayoffer.com, or scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen. If you are in Chattanooga, text the word book to 423-710-9199. If you're up in the Knoxville area, text the word book 865-951-7526. We're going to send you the book right out. There's 6 great chapters in this book. After you read the book, I would want you to call. Come in and see Tim Bobby Brogan. Have a conversation to make sure tax planning, income planning, and healthcare planning is set up for you so that you can absolutely own your retirement. That's what it's all about. Stepping into retirement with a peace of mind. Again, plantodayoffer.com, plantodayoffer.com. When we come back, one of my favorite things to talk about, why is Guardian different? Why is Guardian the obvious choice? And we're going to end the show with a little bit of legacy planning. Stay tuned.
We know the market is going to get worse from here. This is the biggest monthly decline in 10 years. People's 401ks took a major hit.
Well, my investments are tanking. My retirement isn't going as planned. I can't believe I let my kid talk me into buying crypto. I mean, what is that anyway?
This was the 4th worst contraction in history.
So how are you two doing?
Your financial future doesn't have to be uncertain. I'm Gary Thurman with Guardian Investment Advisors. If you've amassed a nest egg, it's time for a financial advisor to help you reach your retirement goals. This is one of the greatest tax windows in history. Now is the time to take advantage of this tax discount while you can. All of our advisors are fiduciaries that specialize in retirement planning, tax mitigation, estate planning, and more. Plan your retirement right. Call now for your own complimentary portfolio review and tax analysis.
Welcome back to Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. Gary Thurman, founder and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. Thank you so much for taking some time to listen or watch our show today. I want to give you our call to action one more time. A copy of my book, Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. Go to plantodayoffer.com or scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen. If you are in the Chattanooga area, text the word book, 423-710-9199. If you're up in Knoxville, text the word book to 865-951-7526. Love to give you a copy of this book. Read it, fill it out, take notes, then come in and see Tim Bobby Brogan. Let's have a conversation about your retirement to make sure these pitfalls we're talking about today do not impact you.
Gary, I'll say this. We've had a number of clients who have gotten this book.
Sure.
And they've come in to see us afterwards. And by the time they come in to see us, they feel so confident that they understand what we're trying to accomplish that they're like, just give me the plan. Tell me what we need to do to make this happen. It's a great book. It's written
Thank you.
well. Go get it. Read it. Come by and see us. I don't think you'll regret it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Tim. And one thing about this book, things have changed since I've written this book. But that's the neat thing about it. I mean, some things have been updated, some things have changed in the industry, but they still all apply to common concepts when it comes to retirement planning, Bobby.
What that talks about is the 6 things that go into any plan, right? And unless the United States does away with income taxes, that's going to be something you have to plan for.
And I love what you just said about concepts, right? Conceptual planning is the idea of what do you want out of retirement? How do we get there? And then we back into the investment vehicles that we need to use that conceptual planning.
I love that.
Instead of the other way around that we see a lot.
Sure. So if you'd like a copy of the book, plantodayoffer.com, plantodayoffer.com. So I'm going to ask everybody out there that's watching or listening today, it's a simple question. When is the last time you stepped into your advisor's office and they talked about income planning, tax planning, and healthcare planning? When is the actual last time that happened? I think that's one of the biggest things that makes us different, Bobby, because we don't just look at numbers on a piece of paper. We don't just talk about growth, growth, growth. That's important.
It is.
But it's one part of a full retirement planning. I think that's one of the things that makes Guardian a little bit different.
Yep. Whenever we sit down with somebody, we're going to talk about income planning, tax planning, healthcare planning, legacy planning. All those things have to work together, and it doesn't look the same for any two people we talk to.
Sure.
And so, really, the first time we sit down with somebody, it's just a conversation. Hey, what do you want your retirement to look like?
Yep.
Right. We'd have that conversation before we even talk about numbers. What kind of income do you want? What are your goals in retirement? What are you going to do with your savings and the income streams we put together? And then we can go to work. And we got to make sure all those things are put in place to make sure they all work together, because any one of those things could derail it.
That's right.
And I'm sorry, go ahead, Bobby.
And we feel so strongly about that. I think it's not something we should overlook. Is I've been in this industry for a long time with other firms, and healthcare is often overlooked because it's complicated. It's so it is. It's complicated.
It is,
It's so complicated. We have somebody in house to help take care of that.
That's right.
It's his full time job. It's
Tanner
to make
Moore.
sure Tanner Moore, Coach Medicare, just to make sure that's taken care of. And then once that's in place, that becomes part of your retirement plan.
Yeah, we know pretty well how to plan around the Medicare penalties that you can receive, those IRMA brackets that happen. We know pretty well about understanding how to take care of that long-term care aspect of things. But when you dig into the details and you're trying to figure out which Medicare plan is right, or how does this going to affect the doctors that you go see and the prescriptions that you're taking,
Right.
that's where Tanner comes in. He's really good at understanding the full picture of things and wants to make sure that you're not having to leave your doctor to save $3 to move to another plan.
Yeah.
And then, also, what is your potential max out of pocket? God forbid something catastrophic happens
Sure.
to you on X plan. We can plan for that because we know what those numbers are.
And Tim, don't you think people, one of the things that you've done here at Guardian is, and Bobby's helped you with this, is create this amazing software where we can actually go through this and look 5 years out, 10 years out. And then we use our bucket system.
Sure.
And, we're not throwing up a bunch of graphs and charts and all these other things. We're trying to keep retirement planning simple. Don't you feel that clients that work with Guardian get a sense of relief from that they're not pressured? We're not doing any sales pressure here. We're trying to actually plan for you. Don't you feel people walk out of here a little more confident in their retirement plan?
I would certainly hope so. I say all the time I'm not actually a very good salesperson, so I say all the time that my goal is to help you find the tools that fit you best. One of the best things about what we do and the way we do it is that we're independent fiduciary advisors. Independent meaning that I don't work for somebody, some big corporate, big name company downtown that says you have to use this program and this program this month. We can go out to hundreds of different insurance carriers. We can use any custodian that we want. We can use the investments that fit you, which truly allows us to represent you as the client instead of representing the corporation of the investment company.
That's
right?
the true definition of fiduciary.
That's right. And by doing so, we're taking this conceptual plan that I was talking about earlier. Here's the plan. This is what we want to accomplish. What tools can I go pull off of a shelf somewhere to fit into this plan to accomplish that goal?
And Bobby, how much should we charge to have that conversation?
Yeah, we don't charge a dime. It's complimentary.
It's crazy.
But I think you have to do it that way if you're a true fiduciary, because you don't want somebody to feel rushed. The conversation can take quite a while to figure out exactly
Sure.
what you're trying to do.
Sure.
And so we don't have not bashing my CPA friends or my attorney friends. We don't run a clock. We don't charge by the hour. We couldn't if we wanted to.
Sure.
Right. And so it's important to make sure we spend the time to figure out exactly what your end goal looks like.
It sounds like a win-win situation, because guess what? If clients come in here, you guys put this awesome plan together. If it's not for them, it's not for them.
Yeah.
We're not strong-arming you, no, you got to become a client of ours now. You guys are putting hours and hours and hours into this planning, and you want to do it for their best interest. And I would say, Tim, you and I talked about this the other time, 90% of the time, people get it. And they're like, yes, we want to work with Guardian. Sure. And here's why. We ask them why. What's the difference? And it's because I think we show Bobby that we actually care. We build our practice around that word, care.
And it's also not a transaction.
I love that.
This is not a, here's your plan, take it and good luck, right? Because that plan, You want it to be able to breathe and change moving down the road. You know, life happens, markets happen. You know, we get new tools put in our toolbox. You know,
Yeah.
that happens. We spend a lot of time making sure we got the best, new, shiniest tools in the toolbox to help.
Sure.
And so we have clients that have been with us for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
And that's really how we deliver the best product is put a plan together and help manage that over time.
Yeah, come in for a conversation, folks. Like Bobby just said, it's absolutely free. Come in, have a conversation. Let's see if it makes sense. It's really easy to do. Bobby, one of the things that you bring to the table at Guardian is your background with estate planning. You've brought so much value to our clients, and actually me, Tim, and Brogan as well, because you're so knowledgeable about that. But how does someone know if they need a will or a trust or both?
Yeah, great question. And I love having this conversation with folks. And it makes a different, I could go on a tangent and we could do a whole show on this. But really, there's two reasons you do estate planning. There's the taxable reasons
Sure.
and the non-taxable reasons. So you don't have to be quote unquote rich in order to need to do estate planning. Everyone should do estate planning.
That's what people usually think when they think, "Oh, I got to set up the
I got to be
Rockefeller
wealthy
Trust,"
to do
right?
estate
Yeah.
planning.
I,
That's a myth.
that is absolutely a myth. Everybody needs to have an estate planning conversation.
Everybody has an estate plan,
Yeah, with
whether
the state?
it's yours or the state's. Yeah.
And so in order to control that, you know, the taxability, the estate taxes everyone talks about, that number is so large. It's like $15 million per person. So as a couple, before you pay estate taxes to Uncle Sam, you got to be worth $30+ million.
Let's make that a problem for you.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
work together and make it a problem. But it's not for a lot of people, right? But there are other reasons why you would do that, estate planning. If you've got kids that have, you know, personal issues.
Right.
If you own property out of state. If you have grandkids or minors that you want to have beneficiaries. Those could all be reasons why you might need a trust strategy in your estate planning. I'm not a fan of overcomplicating things just to overcomplicate it.
Right.
So maybe if you've got two kids, they get along fine, you don't own any property out of state, you may not need a trust. But it's really difficult for me to sit down and say, all right, if you're in box A, you need a trust. If you're in box B, you don't.
Right.
Because there could be additional reasons why you'd want to.
What do you guys find, and I'm going to guess here, the biggest mistake people, Tim, use in estate planning? And I'm going to jump out and say beneficiary updates.
That's a super simple one. Having a designated beneficiary on an account is a great way to bypass probate. You don't have to worry about it. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that a will a will by itself will bypass probate, and that's not true. It's just instructions to the court,
Right.
and you're going to go through probate.
Right.
That's not as bad as it always sounds, or as bad as it could be. Those named beneficiaries can bypass probate for 95% of everything that you have. You can put them on your bank accounts, your cars, sometimes your house.
Yeah. For our friends in Georgia, you know,
Sure.
they've got a pretty cool deed that will allow you to do a transfer on death of real property, houses and stuff.
Yeah.
Tennessee legislature, if you're listening, you get on that. We
Yeah,
need
it'd
that.
be
We need
nice.
that in
Please.
Tennessee. But you know, that's another point is, you know, you can pretty much avoid probate with proper planning. Does that mean you don't need a will? It does not mean that. You still need a will in case something gets missed.
Right.
But you could get to the point where your probate takes a month.
Yeah.
Open and close and done
Right.
if you do the planning well on the other side.
So when it comes to legacy planning, what I'm hearing you guys say, it's not about what you leave, it's how you leave it.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
And again, we talked about the emotional side of long-term care earlier. That's a big thing with estate planning too. You have a spouse or parents that pass away. Listen, you've lost somebody you really care about.
Yeah.
Now you got to mess around with probate. We can avoid that.
So all of these things are in my book, Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. We'd like to send you a copy absolutely free. You can go to plantodayoffer.com, plantodayoffer.com. You can scan the QR code at the bottom of your screen if you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook. But if you're in the Chattanooga area, let's make things simple. Text the word book, 423-710-9199. If you're up in the Knoxville area, text the word book to 865-951-7526. Let us get this book out to you. We talk about income planning, tax planning, legacy planning. So many things are in this book that will give you the knowledge and the power you need to come in and sit down with Tim, Bobby, Brogan. Let's start putting that plan together. Let's avoid these pitfalls in retirement. Again, go to plantodayoffer.com. That's another show of Plan Today on Tomorrow. We'll see you guys next week. Same time, same place. Take care.